I'm using this.
I saw one who's coming in.
Beat you.
Daycare, right?
I do get it.
Do you pick up kids at Windsor Elementary?
I do.
I saw you one day.
Yeah.
What's the name of that?
It's lollipops.
Now it's down by.
There are 5. They just bought another one. That's
Yeah. I'm substituting in kindergarten, and I had to do the kindergarten pickup where like the teacher has to be out there.
Oh, yeah.
Make sure the kids get the cars and all.
I was like, I know that person. It's not normally, but
Which
because
is
it's
just-
usually
yeah.
like an older lady that's
Yeah.
out there. I'm like, I know. Her, but I don't know
How do
her.
I know her? I was like, oh, she's amazing.
Yeah, no, I pick up.
Not normally. Well, I am normally there. I slept there.
kids.
Like,
You know, where like all the schools are in the area.
Sure you do.
I think I picked up like 5 or 6 different schools.
to do the rounds, yeah.
I like it. The kids are hilarious.
That's bad.
So they're always like, every time we're driving, like, I see a Lamborghini, you know, and I'm like, it's not a Lamborghini, it's like a Tesla or something. Today there was an actual Lamborghini, and the kids were like losing their mind,
Right.
screaming in the van. I'm like, come on.
I was driving with one of my kids, saw a Cybertruck, like, you know, Cybertruck.
Right? No, like we saw
And
that too.
And he's like, this is the biggest travesty I've seen in my life.
Follow me.
Ugliest
On
car.
my way to
Kids are
work,
so
like I turned, because I was on 14,
It's
and I
not
turned, and it followed me, and I was like, what is that alien shit?
No, we saw,
There's a one that's painted like a train and having like a little thing on the top. I saw it on the corner of my eye, right next to me. I was like, what the?
Do not draw the kids' attention to this one.
Do
No.
not know that. Do
we
not
saw
let them
some,
know.
saw Ray.
Oh,
And my little 5-year-old, oh, I got a Cybertruck. My little girl, 5 years old, says, that's a funny looking car.
they are really.
Hey, are you here?
Need a daycare or a preschool. Invested in
You know,
like 8 years in a row.
she's in preschool right now at Centennial.
Pick up and
Yeah, we'll figure it out. No, that's okay. Thanks for letting me know.
we have a lot of lessons in high school.
Yeah.
They do field trips like every day. They do adventures. They have like the scales and tails come to us.
One's coming in, so we'll be ready to go.
This one is hot.
Camera little thing, even though
March.
it might not
whether
work.
it's winter or summer yet.
Thank you. The air conditioner over here. Sweater. Like,
You were locked out too.
That's my
Yeah,
bad.
We're working
Sorry.
on it.
So it's daylight savings time.
Yeah. It's the perfect excuse.
Someone told me that, just blame it on that. Everybody here, I think we're just missing one person, and Scott just called you.
Scott just called and said he
Okay.
had a family emergency and was not going to make
No
it, but
issue.
we met earlier this week, so
Awesome.
I can.
Can I get a copy of the agenda down there?
You sure can. Next one for you. Extra copies, then you got enough. Good to go. All right, well, we'll get one. Ready.
I call this meeting of the Foreign Historical Preservation Commission.
Great. Thanks for being here today, everybody. I think we've got some exciting things to talk about tonight. I'm going to try and hurry that because Michaela's been late at work 3 days this week, this being the 3rd day. And so we're trying to get Michaela in as early as we can. But that doesn't mean I want to cut short any discussions we need to have. So, but I think a few of these things will go pretty quickly. I was going to suggest, Olivia, we maybe skip to this number 6 and just talk about the save the dates right ahead of time. I realized I should have just put those first. But singing backwards. So Lon has communicated with Central Water, as well as I had a follow-up conversation with them as well on tour of the Olmsted Power Plant, either April 11th or the 18th. Now, the 18th, our meeting is on the 18th, that Thursday. The best time for a tour is probably the morning or 1:00 p.m. in the afternoon.
They don't want to work nights.
Yeah, he said that, yeah, it's tricky, but I was going to suggest one of those days. Just, I know y'all have other obligations and commitments, so whichever day potentially we're gonna get majority.
18th works best for me. I think might work best for me too, because it's far enough out to put my stuff to work.
I'm either day.
Okay,
18th is okay.
In the morning, what,
Yeah.
9 AM.
What time?
Morning.
That's about 2 hours from what he shared with me, hour and a half, question time.
So what time, 9 AM? did you say?
That's the time he said we would probably meet up in the morning for a tour.
9 AM.
I told him today I would wait till today to get a head count which day, and I'd follow up with him. Who could make it. And so I think we're all gonna be there. Then with that in mind, towards the end of this meeting, if we wanted to do the tour and then still have the April meeting, or if we wanted to do double duty that day, or if you wanted to potentially reschedule that meeting, if we're gonna be able to do the tour the same day, just so we're, those obligations you have to move around and whatnot.
I make the plug going.
Going to the tour?
The day I up to the power plant.
Sure.
It's a really interesting place. You'll find it extremely interesting if you go. And they already have the power plant itself on the historic site,
Yes.
but I don't think any of the houses are.
No, and I did talk, when I chatted with him, we did talk about that a little bit. He said if that is a desire to have that discussion, we would want to probably preface that discussion with a meeting with Central Utah Water, just focusing on that topic and what the interest is from them and process and procedures for kind of really realizing what that would be with them. But so that's just something he shared with me with respect to those other buildings. So
I haven't been up there since they were down.
okay, yeah.
Or going for the morning from 9 to 11.
And then maybe rescheduling the meeting or
Just how many agenda items do you
Yeah.
have?
I was gonna say, if anything, we would maybe have a follow-up discussion on cabin and then potentially an update on this survey. And, you know, spoiler alert, but the survey will probably have some updates by then, potentially. How it's progressing, but nothing major, so we could even maybe do what we did last year. We went to the museum, and that was our meeting, right? And if we do this tour, maybe that's just our meeting. If there's any updates, I can give them to you that morning.
They have an amazing museum up there with a history. Anybody that can go, it's amazing.
Okay, so I guess I'll follow up with Central Utah Water, send them the head count, and I might invite any other interested staff if we need to be able to get there.
I just need to make sure it's
Any of our media planning staff would want to be. And then if that's the case, do you want to? Let's go to the next one. Historic Preservation Conference is Friday, June 14th. My understanding is we would be able to cover the cost of the registrations, being that it's pretty expensive. It's just covering food. I've heard. So we just need to know how many are able to go to that and wanting to go. No.
Wait, so it's Friday, what is it? Is it all day Friday?
I think it's just like 9 to 5 or 9 to 4.
Or can you go all day or just within that time?
You can look at the schedule if you choose.
Oh, so you don't have to stay for like a full You
You
know,
just-
for like the first half.
You're not obligated to stay.
Okay, okay.
There'll be interesting things throughout the day.
If you don't show up to every class, you're gonna
Yeah.
see them back.
I think in the evenings, they are gonna have tours of downtown Provo, and the story of saving downtown Provo, and featuring also Amanda Hall, which is BYU's first female board. Long process to save that building.
Where's it gonna be held?
The Brigham Young Academy building, Provo Library. Yeah, they're actually gonna have a lot of the people who saved that building back in the 90s talk about that process.
Yeah, registration did just open up. Typically, when the one I've gone, once in the past, it's 8 or 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
I can link to that.
Yeah, I'll forward it out after the email. I believe it's $25. There is, what is there, what I do see on the website is opening reception, which is the night before, 6 to 8 p.m. And then this, yeah, just have more details about
Is it best to just email you as soon as we know?
hold on, sorry, 1 second. 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Provo City Library. Yeah, if it's a bit out, so yeah, if it's at the earliest means, let me know and I can get you registered if you're interested in wanting to go.
I think I would be able to.
Okay.
I'm just going to double check.
Looks like there's a preservation track, and there's a Main Street track, there's a cultural resources track, and there's a welcoming keynote. So keynote is 9 a.m. Preservation sessions, 5. So there's some tours. Post Sort Center Street and Amanda.
Yeah, 2 or 3 years ago.
So yeah, if you go to there, I'll forward this link that has all the details, registration, program, tours, that. And then coming up sooner, the soonest we have is City Council presentation, April 9th, 2024. So every year, commissions are asked to come to the City Council meeting and give about a 5-10 minutes, some 5 minutes, update of our activities from last year, exciting things we're working on. So typically it's the chair, Olivia, no pressure, who represents that, but all depending on if you're available, you're welcome to encourage them. That usually is shortly after the beginning of the public section, but that's before the next meeting, which is about 6:15. So 6 to 6:15 will be the time frame for us to be there and a short 5-minute presentation. I'm glad to help together a presentation if needed. Signed. Just summarizing what we worked on last year and some updates that we've had this year. So, are you going to make that day work? That's Tuesday. April 9th. 6 to 6:15.
Let's see. Is it just like a slideshow presentation or be the list of topics to cover?
Cool. Yeah, I'm happy to pull a list of it for you. any other suggestions from you to share with council? Some of our efforts after, I think the most exciting thing is that we can be this committee after such a long absence. That we're focused on some of these topics. So, cool. That goes out. Let's go back to number one. So we can give David out here. So David's here again. We missed David. We didn't meet in February, so but welcome back. Since our January discussion, I had a follow-up discussion with Corey Jensen, who lives in Orem. He's the state's National Register coordinator for State Historic Preservation Office. And so David's suggestion from January's meeting was to take advantage of Corey's knowledge and expertise, but also that he lives in Orem. And as well as staff member also from UDOT, Chris Hansen, on this suggestion, just what Corey thought. And I believe you had met with Corey as well in February, just from January's meeting as well.
Yeah. So it was weird. I was in the process of assessing neighborhoods in Orem that might be eligible for the National Register, based off a new program that we've put into effect statewide to assess post-war subdivisions and what are the values of certain subdivisions based off of others. So as I was researching my own National Register house, and I was also correspondingly trying to understand how we could implement this program at UDOT to assess it in a new way post-war subdivisions, I came across this Memo Gardens, which is a really unique subdivision that happened to be designed by the architect who designed my house in Provo, a man named Bill Bennett. And what's cool is there's quite a lot of documentation on this subdivision about the developer and the architect. And furthermore, it's really intact. And it's this really great brick subdivision. Seems like some of you guys are very familiar with it. I don't know if I can show where it is. And it happened in phases as well, which is also interesting.
Oh, the whole capsule. That's exciting.
The first phase is kind of unique because
Can you get me close to it?
shoot, where is it?
I want to say
I know.
800 north,
Yeah,
right?
Matt,
I think it's
in
right
that
there.
vicinity.
It's for
Has
you
this
from
little
on
arch.
that one. So
That's
this,
the setup there.
oh, this.
So this kind of, yeah, it's the first phase is here. So this developer comes from my favorite town in Utah, which is Scipio. If you guys don't know Scipio, please get to know Scipio. In fact, they have just restored co-op there that dates from the 1880s. And the Scipio co-op is one of Utah's true treasures. You go in there, and it's really well recreated. Yeah, so this guy comes from Scipio and he moves to Orem, and he develops this.
I'm just gonna share it.
Here you go. He develops this on a turkey farm. I didn't know the turkey farming was something that you guys did here in Orem versus, Stampede. I thought got all the turkeys. But turns out this was a turkey farm. And they're just this amazing little collection of really kind of salt box houses. One of my favorite features, though, are the streets, where you have these little baby wannabe cul-de-sacs. They're not fully grown cul-de-sacs. They're still in the womb cul-de-sacs, but you get the idea that the cul-de-sac is developing, right? They're almost like little plazas, right? See these little bumps?
They bump out.
Yeah, just little baby cul-de-sacs. So the whole idea of cul-de-sacs, you could see have not quite been born yet, or at least not here in the forum. But this is an early example of a cul-de-sac-like street. And what's also cool, not only are these houses fairly well preserved, there are a few of them that have unfortunately been painted. But most of them retain their original earthy colors of the mid-century. But also, if you go around the corner,
This way,
I,
or back that way.
let's see, I think it's back that way. You still have remnants of the original farm, basically through the surviving farmhouse, which looked a lot more farmhousey a year ago.
We'll go into the street history.
Yeah, it was a really cool building as of 1 or 2 years ago, and now it's been given the kind of mod treatment. You can see how farmhousey that was. So, I mean, basically, this is the whole story of the cul-de-sac. You've got, this ground that was a farm that can be documented. You've got the farmhouse. You've got the layout of the streets with the little baby cul-de-sacs, the wannabe cul-de-sacs. You've got these wonderfully built brick houses by an architect who has been identified. And then the story of the developer itself is identified. I think his name is Edward Mema, was his name. And this is, I think, just the first phase, right? There are several other phases of the subdivision that he did. So you also have that story of kind of development over time and how, the ideas of developing land, this open land now turned into housing, evolved, at least through the immediate post-war period. I really think that this story of this particular subdivision really does capture not just what happened here in Orem, but throughout Utah Valley and across the Wasatch Front in a very unique way. It's rare that you have all these pieces like you have here. So I'm glad that Corey and Chris Hansen also said that.
Yeah, so their recommendation, kind of paired with David's, was that for the 1600 North mitigation survey, which is 25 homes, that we begin with this neighborhood to then continue with it later phasing, trying to capture the entire first neighborhood and then subsequent developments. And then with the sole intention of later proposing it to be a historic district. So I was just going to put that out as the recommended survey area that we can then take back to UDOT and get that document finalized. So that's ultimately where.
So yeah, I don't know how many homes are in that initial loop.
13, 14, 15, 16, at least 16 directly on the loop.
I think we could capture some houses
These
on the other
probably are also
side
part of it.
as a way that, because you have about 25. I don't know if the ones on the other side are part of this development.
That's, yeah, I think there was a question that Corey left off.
You are, I guess we can say we're all extremely blessed here in Utah Valley to have an amazing tax assessor's website that makes pulling up original subdivision plats so incredibly easy.
And that's what I'm gonna pull up and see. how
People,
many we've got.
call this Happy Valley and make fun of us, but we have the best tax assessor website in all of Utah.
And a lot of others.
And a lot of other places. They just, so I think it'd be pretty easy to figure out if you wanted to do this initial loop, which is 16 houses, and then part of another, subdivision or segment of this much larger subdivision. But yeah, I think this checks the box because they're all together. So
Yeah.
it's a story, and they're all fairly well preserved. So
What was the neighborhood name?
It's Memo
Memo
Gardens.
Gardens.
Plat.
MEMMO.
I have their plat pulled up. The original plat A, it is, and we bought.
Nice.
So it covers, it goes up here to this lot, down, and all these houses along this side as well.
Oh shoot, were their houses taken out by Burge Auto?
They're
Yeah.
potentially, yes. It looks
Thanks.
like,
The common area.
well, so this says commercial area right here.
Oh.
And then lot 1, lot 2. Sorry, if it was, oh my goodness. If this program wasn't so finicky, I would share it, but it has issues.
I'm guessing the Wagon being for north.
So that probably
Yeah,
impacts
There
some of it
used to
too.
be a lot 1 and a lot 2 right here that
Oh,
appear to
so
be
there's a
gone.
whole nother house. that
And
went
a
out
whole
into-
nother house right here. So 3 are missing. Out of-
Everton Market.
It
It's
looks
not
like
a grocery store.
A little.
Looks like Roche Auto covers
So
that
cool.
entire. Looks like Roche Auto covers the entirety of the commercial area plus lots 1 and 2. And the 2 on the end were included, so those ones that are on.
Yeah, you can tell
It
that
was-
something's been jumped away.
It was originally 27 lots. 3 of them are gone.
Well, that makes though a perfect 24.
24.
Yeah, that's kind of, so thanks, Bert.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of perfect.
It works out perfectly.
Yeah, it is.
Memo Gardens plat.
I'm pretty in that area.
Or it's a cute little neighborhood.
I was gonna say, when I was a kid, that's my favorite route.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Nice.
I lived just south
You guys
of there for
know
a while.
people who live in this neighborhood, beg them not to paint their brick. This original brick is so
It's
cool,
beautiful.
and people are just painting.
It's a trend.
Why buy an old house? when you make it look modern?
These are just great houses.
To cause pain.
They're really, really well maintained.
They're very beautiful. Yeah.
Similar ones too on like.
Really. Well, that may have been.
I do have all of the faces.
I'm just curious, if you could point to the general map, how big
Yes.
Memo Gardens was. I think this is the first phase, right?
Yeah, so this is phase 1. Let me orient myself to where we are. Phase 2 appears to be this section.
This is kind of that strip.
It takes a second to load. Um,
So it's the other side, see where like the smart cookie is? And like 910 north.
oh, yeah, right. It's
Got a fully
this
fledged cul-de-sac.
right here.
Looks like we got
Yes,
2 of them.
There's this one and
Two of them.
this one.
there like 4
So this
Yeah.
is phase 3
Oh,
right
and those.
there.
together.
Through the earth.
And drum roll, phase 4, where do we think it is? Oh,
It's the cul-de-sac area, but it looks like it.
Is it up
It's north of it, isn't it? Is
Yeah.
it this one right
so
here?
Yeah.
phase 4 actually is not.
Oh.
Phase 4 didn't exist. It's a plat
Oh, okay.
So at some point, some property lines got changed between these 3 lots.
Okay.
It looks like
They
this
had to
lot
add
was
a
added.
driveway.
Yeah. A flag lot.
I think that would be such a cool neighborhood. Tell your post stories.
And then you kind of got a pretty clean
Um,
historic district.
Yeah.
This whole.
yeah,
really
it
is. The
cuts
whole
right
block.
across here, goes down, that's it.
Virginia's like, isn't it? The
Well,
rest of it's.
you can cut it around for a job.
Like Star Birch.
I think Burge Auto's cool. Is that a water building or is that an
It-
adaptive use?
Because it was part of the
Probably,
commercial.
I'm
lot.
sure it's not. Cool. building. I'm sure it's- Yeah.
Maybe
For
not
historic
part of the
purposes.
historic area.
Early 90s.
I was wondering if it incorporated that market.
go see our full-fledged.
The picture market was
Oh, it's
just
so
west
close.
of
Oh
there.
my goodness.
West, you want me to go west?
Oh.
Like I can, yeah, so it looks like phase 3 is the most.
And
Or phase
what are
2.
the dates on the later phases?
So the last one, oh boy.
Does that take you to the 50s, I wonder, or just did it rather quickly?
Bit of a trial, just one moment, I have to find where they signed it. It's being troublesome. Actually, I think the span is cut off, which is great.
Is it?
It's
Negative. Let me see what the second one says. That'll give us an idea.
So I think this starts in the 40s, right? It's just after the war. Think of this.
Our lot line description. The second plat appears to have the date of 1951.
So that's really cool because the first plat would have to be like 48, 49.
Mhm.
And they're just trying to absorb all of the housing opportunities and financing for GIs. And I mean, that would be a cool story. Down Geneva still is who had that, like,
No, my
Not
commission,
48.
my commission expires 15.
so. Very cool.
Okay, I think we need a motion for this to formally. There you go.
1948 is,
Or
Yeah.
49.
That's
or 49, it's.
I think it's a 49. It drops down, yeah.
It's cool that that's still in the 40s. 'Cause
Or
they're really just,
47.
they're just trying to, yeah, figure everything out.
Because that one looks like a 7. I think it'll just be a bad 9. I think it'll look
I'd love to tour one,
not successful.
see if they have
Oh,
like
it's a 9.
open floor plans or what they're trying to do with space, if they're still small rooms, or if they're, I don't know. Kind of cool.
So what do you need a vote on it?
I think we need just a formal motion to recommend this as the survey area. I don't know what kind of motion we need for you guys.
Sure.
Well, if you guys vote on it, then what I can do is just work with you to create the MOA, to
Right.
establish this as official.
But that's what we needed, just a formal recommendation from our commission that this would be the survey mitigation area for the 16. Mitigation survey for 1600 North with UDOT.
So motioned. I learned that that's appropriate.
Oh, that's, I didn't know.
Then you
Sometimes
can,
it's hard
when
to
somebody
recall it, yeah.
says it, you can just say so motioned.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
So who seconded? Who seconded?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes.
Fantastic.
Okay,
Thank you all.
coordinate with David and Liz to get documentation. And then I believe you would be hiring a consultant or would you?
Yeah, so the consultant, if I can already. We've hired him.
Oh, cool.
His name is Ben Pearson.
Yeah.
And he actually grew up on 1600 North. And one of his family's houses will be taken out.
Oh, bummer.
Really sad.
You guys really find somebody close to the project.
You're like, hey, no more
He knows
trouble.
Orm. He knows Orm really well. And
Absolutely.
plus he's the only,
Who's gonna do the survey, did you say?
I'm just saying, it's this Ben Pearson. He works for a company named Forox Environmental Engineering, which is in American Fork. Ben is great. He's one of my favorite people. He knows Orm because he grew up here. And he's also Utah's only architectural historian who is not heading off to retirement. If any of you guys want to be an architectural historian in Utah, there are so many opportunities for you. It's never too late to change your
Take some
course.
notes here.
Yeah, Ben is, not only is he good, but he's really the guy. In fact, if any of you are interested, we're gonna be having a meeting at UDU on the state of historic preservation in Utah. And hopefully out of that meeting, we'll get a historic preservation course at UDU.
Oh, cool.
That could train people how to do this stuff, because there is nobody doing it. And we're tearing down buildings we don't even know the history of, we don't understand their value. There's nobody to do these surveys except for Ben. So
I have 2 classes left in my history degree.
jump aboard the good shit preservation.
So when is that meeting?
It's April 12th, and I just heard about it yesterday. It's Paul Monson who's organizing that meeting anyway.
He is so Paul Monson's the chair of the architecture department down
Friday, April 12th, 1 o'clock to 4:30 p.m. CS 404. That doesn't mean anything. It means
It's a
something to you
building.
guys. The future of historic preservation, perspectives from practice and pedagogy. Join us for a transformative experience, oh geez, at our Historic Preservation Mini Summit, where we'll explore the possibility of launching a new program at UVU. Discover how preservation isn't just about creating museums, but fostering a living tradition of designers and artisans. Be part of shaping the future of preservation as we consider the bridge between tradition and innovation.
Yeah, I did have a student from the UV architecture program interview me as a practitioner with respect to you all, and kind of the historic preservation. This is that, oh, we've done that as far as formally. So I think that is definitely interesting. People to see if that we so much students who join us for future meeting.
Here in the future, Orem could be the home of historic preservation. But there you go. Thank you guys for all the good work you do. I always enjoy coming to visit. I'm kind of sad that the mitigation's been decided. I have no excuse to visit it. We'll find some other
We'll have
project.
to find some other excuse for you to come.
Have fun at
Thanks, Dave.
Bye.
the water. Take care.
Okay.
I have a work meeting.
No worries. I think we're rolling right along though. That kind of did, let's quickly cover 4 and 5, then I'll leave. Or maybe we should cover the care grant discussion. What are you leaving right now?
I have like 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Let's maybe cover that discussion. And Crystal, why don't you do that really quick? I didn't have any more relevant.
I met with Scott Swain. He's on the Forum Arts Commission. He's supposed to be here, but he just didn't come up and couldn't make it. But we met earlier this week. I guess they talked about doing some sort of art display in the new city center building that's being built. And they, as an art commission, said, I think it'd be better if we had a history of Forum display. That, from what I understand, is going to be a long hallway with display cases on the walls. He asked if we would want to head that up and towards that. He recommended that we could apply for a care grant, which included some insights on how we could possibly.
I
I looked at him, I got him how to answer these questions.
No, I did follow up on that. I did ask our finance chair department, they're the ones that kind of steer that process and everything. And then I heard that I would apply on behalf of the commission as a city project for the care grants. And that commissions have done that. in the past.
Great. I'm
So-
glad you knew the answers.
No,
but I
yeah,
didn't.
yeah. So I've been assured that's been done before. It's not something new necessarily, but that I myself, as a staff member, would apply on behalf of the sort of commission as I'm your liaison, staff liaison, and we could go for that. Now that is coming up quickly.
Yeah,
It's
the deadline's
April
April
1st. And so I think that
I can
is.
talk with you after the meeting if you'd like.
Yeah, we can maybe create a short list of what, I think Lon's got a connection to the museum, so we've got some materials. And Lon, you mentioned on the phone the other day, he's willing to share photographs or anything like that to contribute to the display as well, correct?
I need down there at the museum.
Yeah, Scott was saying that they have a bunch of artifacts moving down in the museum that are just kind of sitting there not being displayed, so this would be a
I
great
think
way
it's
to
a
get them
really
out
cool
of
opportunity
storage and in use.
bring awareness and get more people interested in like a more historical society.
Maybe have a note there that say, hey, want to learn more, go to the museum.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then maybe my suggestion was gonna be that even this rotation. That
Oh,
there's
yeah.
there's a permanent display that talks about the permanent,
Yeah.
kind of a little bit like this placard over here
Yeah.
by the puzzle map. That shows the history of the world. But there would be maybe display cases that were more permanent. And then there would be like maybe one or two that are on rotation. That could be rotated from the museum. And highlights, you know. But that's really cool because but
Then
then
that gets people.
it gets people excited. It also brings some of that community ownership and pride and say, yeah, this is, our museum has these artifacts from the history of the city. And
that's how people know what the history is.
Yeah,
is-
yeah.
Yeah, just kind of dorm, I don't know, does it have history? Every place has history, all of it's cool, you just gotta dig in and find it.
Yeah, especially newer residents.
Yeah.
Right.
I knew a girl, my crazy.
I'd like to see something like that. Big, you know, there's now, what was it before?
Yeah, this is,
This is
then and
what it
now
was
pictures,
before.
the
And-
comparison
and-
pictures.
Our last month, and Chris, you were on the commission, so when we first kicked off our meeting, Lon gave us a presentation he has for, when we went, and it spanned 2 meetings, because Lon has so much information that he spent a lot of time and energy on collecting about the history of this community. That I told Lon after he gave us, I said, Lon, you need to sit down with somebody and record this, you know, profession, not to say you haven't done it professionally, but professionally and share it, because it's like, it's that, you've done your research at that really high level. That it could be really a community asset and resource that's why I vision like case 1, case 2, case 3, there's a, you see in museums where there's like a TV and there's a documentary kind of esque video about the history where it's interviewing old residents, if they remember. There's this cool thing, I don't know if it exists in it's called StoryCorps. It was like StoryCorps. Was history fellows would go through communities and review the residents of history of their communities or important historical events in their lives. And it's kind of like that same kind of thing that we could really bring to the art. So this we need to really define a really quick scope. So maybe y'all can take some time to think about that in the next couple of days, and then by Monday we can come up with a short list for a scope.
But some of the ideas that Scott and I talked about were like a timeline, we could go through
That's what I was
when
thinking.
Orem was founded to now, and then, like you said, maybe have some special displays that we can rotate out of highlighting different.
I think we can, you know, we do have some slides for them. What the first city center was like. And I've got a picture of it moving.
Yeah.
And it'd be nice to have something like that.
Or that, the then and now, it's like, this is what it used to look like.
Then we take a picture of that, this is the then and this is the now.
The original, not
I actually was thinking about it.
I was like, where's
We
weird?
down
We should get a cast of it.
would have a,
Yeah.
get a cast in there. It doesn't have to be the original one.
Yeah. What's that cost?
I don't know.
I'm sure they've already taken.
Well, so this is the cool thing. Because we're gonna apply for a grant this year, but if the building's not done until next year, we can possibly tap into 2 years of care grant.
Possibly, yeah.
Or they're
this.
collecting the stuff
Um,
already, we need a place.
And this is the cabin discussion that we had at the staff level. I was saying like, we need to get some of the community nonprofits involved. We need to build the capacity for people there's now the Orem Community Foundation is formally, I believe it's formally active again, so that people can donate to it and cause for different reasons. So they can donate, it's tax deductible for city purposes. And it could be a cool thing, like, what's your Orem history? And it could be this even like, what's your Orem history? And it's this ownership collective of gathering stories. Thanks, Olivia. And I'll email some stuff.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, so maybe we can drill all this down to a scope of work for April 1st and
I'll take both of those.
I'll give you a good job.
it's gonna be a quick time limit. But
Well,
I
I
think we
think
can
we'll
do
have
it.
to figure out exactly how many cases, like how much room there will be.
What do they really want?
And yeah. Scott was gonna talk with people about kind of more of the logistics of that. We haven't done that yet, but if we, like, say we want to have a display case that's a timeline, display case items, because, then and now comparisons of what will look like different times to now, and then a rotating one with different, just like if we give reads.
I think 3 is pretty reasonable.
Well, I mean, do we know how big this area is? Like how much space we have?
It's, from what Scott said, it's like like the opening, like, there, so maybe like 30, 40 foot tall, possibly both sides. So,
I don't know. I'm happy to help Scott to find out some of that information from the staff level if we can, find out if possible how much we have that support. And then we could pull together a quick scope of work for this. And I'll share the application paper to all of you so we can kind of drill down. Maybe we can assign sections for people to kind of look at or to gather some information on. Pete Wolfley is the person who shared with me that he's applied for our care grant on behalf of so I was going to follow up
yeah,
on that.
so
Say,
the,
hey,
the
how,
arts
what are the logistics of the
was going to
application
apply for
process?
another one for something else as well, so.
Okay.
I mean, it's pretty easy. There's just questions in there that I wouldn't know the answers to, like, what is your tax ID number for your organization? I don't know, do we have one?
The city does.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
My understanding, that's where it's like, if
Historic
I'm applying
preservation.
on behalf of the city, I don't know if it's applicable.
Yeah,
At that point.
so that's what I don't know, but then, category of discipline. There's arts education, dance, folk art, humanities, literature, media arts, music, it's not really natural history.
Education.
I think it's humanities / education.
Yeah,
We could probably touch on the humanities and then say this is still educational because we have.
and then there's the visual arts, which is not really fun. It's history, but it just needs to be category for us. So it's pretty straightforward.
Do you think I mean, if we email some stuff out and we can narrow it down, we could have some of these things drafted by the end of next week?
Sure.
And,
There's only one,
or sorry, maybe middle of next week, and then I can put a draft together before I prepare to submit it. I will be out of town on the 1st, so I think getting
it'd be
it
better
in
to
before I
get
leave.
before the first, would probably be best.
And then I'm happy to follow up with finance person on before I apply any of the specific like tax ID specifics. So
Good.
I'm excited.
It's funny, when we canceled the meeting last month, I got the email that we were canceling. I was like, oh yeah, no big deal. And I literally got the phone call about this 2 hours later. I was like, oh, bummer, we're not meeting. This would have been perfect to talk about, but we still have time. It's all good.
Yeah, we still have time, and I think this would be perfect care grants.
Yeah.
Great.
And if you work with the Sarah, to talk to the Sarah, who gives your grant.
Yeah.
Well, and I guess we'll just have a ton of information and pictures and artifacts and things that we could help us with.
You just need to work with somebody local to get your stuff published. Yeah, it's published.
What's that?
You need to work with somebody local to get formally published.
I almost wondered if you could apply for a care grant.
Probably could.
To do a book in conjunction with the new city center, like probably years
Before.
forum and.
Here and now. What happened?
You should.
So
Wow.
we have this display in the new city center,
You have to-
and
you have-
then you have a book that goes along with it.
You have 10 days.
That'd be an interesting thing to do. Because when
There's
the-
even grants for the Utah Commission of Arts and Museums for humanities projects. There's grants for that, this kind of stuff as well, state level.
I talked about somebody on the city council person that was there said that they would fund something like a book like that.
Let's do it.
You've got options.
If we did it here and now.
Okay, I just pass this, I don't know if, not to cut anybody off. All right, I think that I will I will tomorrow, whoever's around, staff, some people are off Fridays, Friday. So whoever's around, I'll try to really quickly find out some more of these logistical questions, and then we can follow up via email on Monday and see if to put together.
The only question that really has to be answered is like open-ended executive summary. Like, work on that,
Yeah, perfect.
what that looks like.
Cool.
Get that to you. Everything else is more like, what would you use the funds for? And I think for the most part, it would be more materials. We're not paying big salaries, we're not paying,
No materials to print, or to print anything. or-
and display cases and,
Yeah.
mounting, whatever it is that we need to put it together and have it look.
Yeah, I think I should previously. I've been geeking out on trying to find representations of one historical maps. It's like, when was one first listed on that? And so I've been going back through that. So that'd be cool to print those out and show.
There's a page on one. Page on people. That if you're from work or something. They have to put program plans and stuff in place.
So that'd be cool for people to contribute as well.
There is a webpage. If you can probably get more, but there's a webpage. Facebook page. Pictures of the- that people have got.
Yeah, we kind of hopped around everywhere today. I apologize. This will be really quick. I'm just going to pass this around. We did receive one and only one submission to our survey RFP. This is from a group back out in Ohio. And communicating with the state, they said sometimes when you put out the RFP, you'll get one, maybe more than one. It all depends on the consultant's kind of schedules and size of the project. So this was a submission we got from this group in based out of Ohio. They've done several projects, and we kind of got to the point where we got one submission. The alternative was to come back and say, well, is there any other things we could use the grant money for? Alternatively, instead of the survey, and I didn't think there was anything pressing that we would be able to do, and we would kind of forego that grant funding. And then we got some money from budget process from the council for the survey, so I think it was good usage of continue with this group, they're gonna be able to, we had a call with them, we're gonna be able to redefine the state requirements. So we're excited, I'm excited that we got some cement, because for a bit there, I checked in with Trevor, who's our procurement officer. So, yeah, we did get one other company, local company, asked some questions about the project. They would end up submitting for it. So, so you can see that we went ahead and awarded them the RFP, and we're in the contract process.
The only one.
This is the only one for the survey for that 1600 north to 800 north, State Street to 800 west, I believe. And at first, talking to Alina, she said, the project area may have been a little bit big for that, but I think there was still some areas that had very little pins, and that was kind of our desire from our discussion to cover that area. So, so we're going to try and see if we can get a contract signed with them by next week, and hopefully they'll come out, and part of their process is come out and do a visit. And hopefully, when that starts happening, I'll make sure I let you all know and be involved in some of their work and process. So,
Used to live in Ohio, and this is in there like that. I'm sorry.
Oh, cool.
So it's fine.
That's
Wait,
awesome.
you lived in Ohio? Yeah. We need to talk.
Okay, so that's the SHPO grant, RLS updates. Historic marker update was Chris Yerke, our public works director, was working on going around and part of it involved in the discussion of from one perspective, if we make any changes to that. So he and I chatted, and he kind of thinks our historic markers are still fine. And so it can be changed. We did talk about that eventually with the markers that they want to put on site at Heritage Park, we would have some kind of digital QR code or something like that that we could attach to those markers, and then that would have a digital map aspects. There's cool tools out there now, I think I showed this before too, that you can scan a QR code, it'll take you to a digital map, and the digital map would be able to, so you could pull up on your phone and then use that to navigate to that marker. And then there's you have digital, you basically have information in that app about that location. I think you bought the Apple Vision Pro yet. My other friend who actually did. But with that technology now, there's sort of cool even more where you can use a phone to scan a QR code, and there's like a virtual interactive site too. So there's some cool tech that I think will get some youth involved with as well, if they're interested in educating about history more. So, so that's just that update that at least at this point we're just moving slowly through the process as we get closer to Heritage Park getting finalized. I think we'll have some more discussions about what those markers are. It's like, and then finally, that leads us to the final item, the historic cabin. We are at the staff will shoot forward with an RFP. Actually, we met with a consultant group who specializes in cabin restorations to either hire them or another qualified contractor to restore the cabin that was found on State Street. So Isaac is an intern. He's going to come share. He's been doing a lot of the historic research on this cabin to try and find out how we can get it listed on the National Register after it's restored and placed down at the park. So at this point, there's a little concrete pad in the park design where the cabin is set. So some of the discussion that we've had, at least at the staff level, was what level, I know we talked about this in January as well, what level of programming we want this cabin to have. And, but we are pushing forward with the budget request. So request is for, but I'll do that. But for this RFP to restore it, that needs to be removed. So I think programming could be some other things. So potentially. So Isaac has gathered some information. I'll share this as well. But just on the original owner was Carl Hansen, was born in 1858 in Sweden, to Utah, with the Saints in 1883. Got married in 1886 in the Logan Temple. So there's blacksmith, who was a blacksmith in one. There's a blacksmith shop right next to the cabin. He was on the city council. Yes. And then he lived in Pleasant Grove. His wife was born here. And then the cabin was later taken over by the Shimada family. They were from California. The Japanese merchants were sent to camps in Wyoming. After World War II, they found their family farm sold. They came to Utah with nothing to work for the Stratton family. Stratton's own orchards. Shimada saved up enough to start a fruit stand, which was next to the cabin as well. That actually was on the National Register. The first time was, I believe. If you go to that pin map, and I'll show that on the survey, if I didn't show that already, you can actually see you can go. So Isaac met with Lon just to see if Lon had any information about Hanson's or anything around that area. You gave him some information, I know, and so we found since we met with SHPO on the National Register requirements, we really have to focus on the significance of the building itself. And since Carl Hansen was on the city council, the building's associated with an important person early in Orange's history. So I think there's some elements. We're still trying to sift through some of the historical. So if any of you want to be interested, involved, I can see what I can share with. I think more will be later on once it's place we can develop some programming and be responsible for that. So, so that's a little more about the cabin. So we're going to meet next with SHPO about we're going to meet next. There's a little trick with the SHPO grant. We missed this year's grant because we didn't really, this cabin kind of came out right before the deadline for the SHPO grant. So we're going to meet with them to see if one of the requirements of the grant that we have is buildings have to be listed on the National Register before they get a grant towards work on them or something like that. So we're going to meet with them to see, well, with what the information and history we can gather about the building, if it's eligible, if we can apply for the grant next January or February, with its being eligible, and then use that money as part of the fire restoration. So, then listing, see if we can make it.
I thought there were issues with listing it because it was moved.
So we met with an architect from SHPO, and he basically said he personally knows of other cabins, historic cabins in the state that are on the National Register that have been moved. And the biggest example he knows of a cabin that was moved from Logan to St. George, I Yes. And I'm not, I meant to follow up with him on, well, what's the history of that camera? 'Cause we didn't use that as our example. We know that there's one that moves all the way from Logan to St. George. I think we've got a case to show, and our meeting with him was basically, I think we've got a case, because we said, well, if the city hadn't come in and worked with the property owner was willing to work with the city too, to preserve it, then we would have lost it. There wasn't an opportunity to preserve it on the site. Nor the fruit stand. I believe the fruit stands.
Yeah, it's right.
So, I think there's a case that, and moving it. And my other example in Orem is the old city center. The old city center was moved. It has since been pulled off National Register because I believe it's been renovated.
Right.
There's modifications that. And so I think that's more, yes, the fact that we're gonna be restoring it, and using a company that I'm working with, even with this architect from SHPO, hopefully to restore it to the time period that shows, I think, intent to. But like you shared with us, it's the National Park Service will really focus on these significant history elements. So if any of you have any resources or ideas how we can bolster that research, I'll put you in touch with Isaac and we can build that significance portion of eventually what we would apply for. So I'm gonna go along with it. Sorry, let me try to get out of here.
It's all good.
That's the last part, I think. I think we would sell the quorum, so just formally, we would cancel our scheduled meeting for 6 p.m. on April 18th, and we just have to do that. So I think the last two things we need to focus on today.
Can't quite hear you.
Sorry, I'll talk louder. I need some water. My voice is getting dry. So I said, I think that's the rest of the agenda. The final thing we need to do today is, because we talked about not meeting at 6 p.m. on the 18th of April in lieu of our tour, I think we just need to formally. Cancel it.
I don't think you even have to formally cancel.
Okay.
We never do. Yeah, I think all that's left is minutes.
Okay, minutes adjourned. Anybody want to make a motion to approve the minutes from the January meeting?
I think that.
That motion, so motion.
Second that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
I'll second that motion.
All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, there we go. Move that remarks over.
I got a lot of information.
Yeah.